Survival is a natural instinct of a human being. It is imprinted in our DNA. Things like predicting threats, assessing escape possibilities, and defensive behaviors like fighting, fleeing, or hiding. Even in the world of Monster Hunter, this concept can still be applied, because at the core, it is based on our nature as a human being. And as a hunter with an official active license under the Hunters Guild, I have the responsibility to provide you with guidance related to survival. So, in line with that, I will be sharing my way of avoiding death, or in Monster Hunter terms, carding, when you are out there hunting monsters. So ready your weapon, grab your supplies, and pray you don't card, because your survival might depend on it. I'll break it down into two sections. First is about how I prepare before a quest, and second is things I did while doing the quest itself. Keep in mind though that this is my way of handling things. If it suits you, feel free to follow it. One thing's for sure, this approach has carried me through countless hunts, even against Fatalis. Alright, the first one is obligatory. Make sure you always eat at the canteen or at the gathering hub before embarking on a quest. In the earlier part of the game, the ingredients you can choose are limited, but the further you go in the game, the more your choice of the food and its effects expands. The main reason of eating before quest, for me, is to increase the health point to 150 points. For the food buffs, you can just choose and adjust it accordingly to your liking, or to fit the quest you took. Once you've satisfied your stomach, now it's time to make sure you restock your items before embarking on a quest. Usually, I just choose one of the item sets I've saved, accordingly to the monster I'm going to face. For monsters like Diablos, I have a set with Screamer Pod in it. For Latrion and Fatalis, I've made a set with material items to craft the likes of Mega Potions, Max Potions, Dust of Life, and so on. And those sets actually have the same foundation of items, the basic items I always bring to every hunt. These include healing items, stamina related items, status effects, cures, and utility items. No matter what the monster is, these essentials are non-negotiable. Items like the Flash Bomb is the one universally fitting to any item set, and I always brought it with me. This item is very useful and can sometimes help me and my teammate get out of a difficult situation. Although, in Master Rank, there is a limit to how many times you can flash the monster. But for low rank and high rank, this item is stupid good, especially for monsters that flies around, because when they get flashed, they will immediately fall down. They did build some resistance to it though, every time they get flashed, which affect the duration and effectiveness of it. Just keep that in mind. And in low rank and high rank, there's no limit to how many times you can flash the monster. That's why I brought this item along with the flash bugs as the crafting material for it. This item is good enough to be brought by me whenever, and I think you should also bring this item regardless of the situation. There's no downside whatsoever, think of it as your personal anti-air defense. There's also the biological bomb, the Dung Bomb. Don't be fooled by the fact that this is only some pile of shit. This pile of biological waste is still more useful than those corner horner. It functions as a repellent of some sort to chase the monster away. Commonly used when there's 2 or more monsters in one single area. Well, it is indeed a pain in the ass to deal with multiple monsters at a time. That's why I always have dung bombs in my item pouch, so I'm always ready to throw some feces into the monster's face, chasing away any unwanted entity from my sight. One thing to remember though, Dung Bomb does not work against elder dragons, so don't waste your time throwing those biological bombs at them. Oh, and don't forget to upgrade your antidote into Herbal Medicine. It is very easy. You only need to combine antidote with blue mushroom. While it has the same poison curing effect as the antidote, it is better to just use Herbal Medicine instead. The reason is, Herbal Medicine is quicker to consume than the regular antidote. There is also an extra effect of adding a slither amount of your health. I always bring this item with me because you can actually consume Herbal Medicine even though you are not poisoned. Though, utilizing this item that way is a very rare occasion. But if you are in a very tight situation, you can eat Herbal Medicine to replenish your health a little bit. Pretty useful, considering every drop of health matters in this game. So upgrade your antidote into Herbal Medicine now, and don't forget to farm for those blue mushrooms, because you will need tons of them. Aside from poison, blights are also one factor to consider in hunts, since it affects you directly by giving you debuffs. To remove blights, I always bring Nulberry with me. Well, for specific blights like the Fire Blight and Blast Blight, you only need to roll 3 times to remove them, so it is actually okay to not bring this item to fights that gave you those blights. But for the other blights, this is not the case. That's why I'm bringing the Nulberries with me. It is also easy to obtain, as the Nulberry is just spread everywhere around the map, and you can always just gather it along the way. Stamina is another essential factor that affects the hunt directly. You use stamina for running, dodge rolling, even some weapon like the hammer uses stamina to execute charge attacks. Your maximum stamina will decrease naturally every 15 minutes, and you will need to replenish it regularly. A stamina replenishing item that I always bring with me is the energy drink. Now, why the energy drink? Well, this is actually just a habit of mine since my Monster Hunter Freedom Unite days, because the ingredients required to make the energy drink is very easy to obtain. All you need is to combine Sunset Herb and honey. After Monster Hunter World, it switched up a little bit. You need Nitro Shroom and honey, which actually is still very easy to obtain. Nowadays, you can just use monster parts to make rations and well done steak, and it is practically simpler to do. And if we're talking about effectiveness, I think using energy drink can be considered as not very effective. The animation for consuming energy drink is, of course, drinking it, and it took longer to execute than just eating ration. However, it does have one unique advantage, an additional effect of cancelling sleep ailment. If you are about to go down because of sleep, just look up for energy drink and chug it down. It will cancel the sleep ailment. This is a pretty unique and interesting effect and mechanic, though as I've said earlier, I brewed the energy drink solely out of habit. So this is a very subjective one. What's not a subjective one though, is the max potion, even though making this item needs several steps. But believe me, it's worth it. I recommend you go out of your way and craft this item from the earliest possible time, because even though you will only be able to carry 2 max potions at a time in your item pouch, it is more than enough to save your ass. This item fully heals your health, and also extend it to 150 points if you initially only have 100 points of health. If you are declining to bring this item to quests, you're either crazy or just unbelievably dumb. The ingredients to craft this item is actually not hard to come by, and you only need 4 kinds. bitterbug, blue mushroom, honey, and mandragora. First, you need to combine bitterbug and blue mushroom to get nutrients. Then, you combine nutrients with honey to get mega nutrients. Lastly, combine the mega nutrients with mandragora, and you have crafted a max potion. This is a good item to consume if you're unfortunately carded, so you can immediately get that health back up. That's why I always have this item in my item pouch. Now max potion have a sister called the Ancient Potion. This thing not only fully restores and maxes out your health, but also maxes out your stamina to 150 points each. It's more potent than max potion, but you can only carry one in your item pouch. The materials for this are kinda tricky though, because you need Kelby Horn. There are two ways to craft this item. You can either combine the Kelby Horn with an immunizer or with a nourishing extract. Immunizer is the easier option, since you can craft it with catalyst and mandragora. And catalyst, just craft it from bitterbug and honey. Easy. Nourishing extract, on the other hand, comes in the form of monsters loot. So you will need to hunt down monsters that dropped it, like Paolumu, Odogaron, and Dodogama, in order to get it. Well, you can consider this as choosing an option between gathering and hunting. So yeah, pick whichever method you prefer. But honestly, in Iceborne, this item lost its value after the Steamworks came out. And I bet you'll agree with me. If you run Steamworks often, your inventory is probably loaded with these things. That's the reason why this item is not as valuable now. Still, the effects are insane, so I always carry it regardless of the situation. One more item that I consider as objectively good is the Farcaster. This is an item with a purpose of running away. Or maybe calling it falling back is more suitable. Same as the energy drink, I'm bringing this item out of my habit from the older games. I dare to say that this item is objectively good, allowing you to go back to the camp immediately with the use of this item. This is very useful, especially when you are in a pinch, getting cornered while fighting a monster, or maybe multiple of them. Well, you can actually always use it whenever you want, but there's no point in doing that, since you can just fast travel to the camp so long as you are not engaged by a monster. Some of you might think that it's going to be a waste of space to bring Farcaster, since, you can only have one Farcaster in your item pouch, and you'll only use Farcaster only once or twice every now and then. While it's true that you will rarely use it, using the Farcaster allows you to perform instant teleportation to the nearest camp from your initial position, with no downside whatsoever. Think of bringing this item as having an extra cushion, so whenever you're in a bad spot, there will always be a way out. Just remember this old saying, falling back is also a part of strategy. Sun Tzu. Nah, it's not Sun Tzu, but you got my point. Next is items that you only need to bring. Let it sit in your item pouch and you got free stat increase. The Armor Charm and Power Charm, which increases your defense and attack respectively. You can buy these two items from the provision stockpile. Just make sure you got the money for it, because it's two of the most expensive items you can buy with Zenny. It will not cost you fortunes, but can definitely hurt your wallet if you're not money ready. These can be upgraded later in the game into Armor Talon and Power Talon, further increasing the effects. Maybe some of you will say that these items are waste of item slot, but remember, this is a free increase to your defense and attack stat by only bringing these items in your item pouch, so there is no real downside to that. And by the way, if you proceeded to bring all 4 of the charms and talents together, the effects would stack. So make sure you made rooms for these items in your item pouch. Unless I'm facing Elder Dragons, I always carry the trap set. Well, it is only a term I made up, this trap set. It consists of Shock Trap, Pitfall Trap, and Tranquilizer Bomb. On the contrary, when fighting the Elder Dragons, I made sure to not bring these items with me, because, you know, Elder Dragons will not be affected by traps whatsoever. What's the use of bringing items that I cannot utilize? It will only be a waste of space. The reason I'm bringing this trap set are obvious. To trap the monsters, of course, and maybe capture it whenever I desire to. Utilizing the traps does not bound to only capturing purpose. If you are struggling to register any hit from the monster, you can always use the traps to hold the monster in place. That way, you will be able to hit the monster without any worries. Using the traps that way may sound cheesy. In fact, it is cheesy. But items only exist for the purpose of being used. Utilize items in any way you possibly can. That's the right way of monster hunting. Now, this one is a multiplayer purpose item, whether you are playing with your friends or with randoms. The Lifepowder and the Dust of Life. Again, one of the items I brought out of a habit, because I tend to play the game in multiplayer with my friend even in the older games. And these items gives you area healing, and instantly recovers your health too by a certain amount, which made this item very good measure of saving a teammate's life. The only reason to not bring this item with you is if you decide to play solo, so make sure you always have this item in your item pouch. The next one is something I now rarely do, but I always did back then. I made several armor sets accordingly to what monster I'm going to face. For example, if I'm facing Kirin, I'll use armor sets that have high thunder resistance, and I do that while still minding the armor skills. I usually create the armor set for each element available, so I can freely choose the armor set according to the elements of the monster I faced. I also made the armor set for the Rotten Veil Effluvium and made armor set with Heat Guard in it for the volcanic area of Elder's Recess. Again, so I can just freely choose the armor accordingly to the quest I'm taking. But nowadays, I don't really pay attention to that. I'm just playing for fun anyway. But in Monster Hunter Wilds, I'll be sure to do it again. Can't really wait for what might come my way. Choosing your tools is also essential, similar to picking what armor to wear. Though, same as armor, I rarely mind about it nowadays. I don't even use it anymore on my hunts. I personally love to use Rocksteady Mantle, because you are actually immune to knockbacks, and that helps a lot with my main weapon being Hammer, because I need to constantly charge it. But you really need to be careful utilizing this mantle, because you will still receive damage, albeit reduced. Temporal Mantle, on the other hand, I'm not really fond of, because the auto dodge will cancel my hammer charge. The other tool that I utilize most alongside the Rocksteady Mantle is the Glider Mantle, because of how good the decoration slot is. Some tools are also useful for certain situations, like the Health Booster to help you combat Alatrion's Eschathon Judgment, or the Fire Mantle to help you ease your hunts against monsters that uses fire or blast. You just have to choose the tools accordingly to the quest you're taking, Same case as the armors. If you got this far, you might realize that preparing for the quest takes time. You know, preparing your items, armors, even something as simple as eating. Well, of course, as we know, one of the core elements of Monster Hunter is the preparation. So it's only natural that there's so much to consider before you embark on your quest. Preparation is always going to be key, no matter what. Always keep that in mind. Alright, now we're moving on to the things that I did in the quest to increase my chance of survival. So the first thing I do after arriving at the campsite is go to the item box and collect the first aid med and the ration. As long as you got free slots in your item pouch, I encourage you to always get these items, because it can help you save your own resource that you've brought to the quest. And it doesn't end there. While tracking the monster down, I made sure to always grab the honey whenever I passed through it. I did this to upgrade the first aid med into first aid med plus, which have the same effects as mega potion. You also will need tons of honey for crafting, so you lose nothing doing this, and instead gathered an important crafting material. This trick only works for high rank and below, since in the master rank, the item box provides you the first aid med plus right away. And of course, while running around looking for the monster, I always collect the monster tracks, like the footprints or whatever the scout fly shows. Because why not? You increase the monster's research level anyway by doing this. And having a higher research level is going to help you. By increasing the monster's research level, you will unlock the ability to immediately see the monster in the map, even from your arrival in the quest. Higher research level will also unlock abilities like seeing where the monster will move to, and the most important in my opinion, the indicator of the monster's condition in the minimap. You know, something like is it tired already or is it dying already? This will affect how you hunt the monster. For example, if you are doing a capture quest, you'd want to look at the monster's condition to avoid failing the capture quest. Because, let's be honest, oftentimes we are not aware that the monster is already dying. Interactions with the environments is something that the game has been emphasizing on in recent titles. I love to utilize the environmental trap and the endemic life, like triggering the falling boulder from above, blowing the dam in Rathalos's nest, kicking the paratoad, sleep toad, any toads honestly, using Vigor Wasp, and many others that require us as the player to interact with the environment. I really love doing these kinds of stuff because it increases the immersion of the game. It is helping me in my hunts anyway, so there's only positive that I can see by doing all these things. You should try it out yourself to make use of the surrounding environment more. Well, that's only if you haven't done that already, because I believe most of you are in the same page with me in this one. Aside of helping me ease my hunts, interacting with the environments and the endemic life also gave me some sort of good feeling, you know what I'm saying? Making me feel like a real hunter, trying to utilize all tactics available to hunt the monster, not only beating it to death. I also never hesitate to use the resource I brought to the quest. Do not be stingy. Use your items. Drink your potion if you need it. Don't try to save it for later. Your health's in a critical state? Use your max potions. Now your friends are the one whose health is critically low? Use your Lifepowder and Dust of Life. If the monster is troublesome, might as well use the traps. Don't let it sit in your item pouch and never get used. Flash Bomb especially. absolutely can get you and your team out from getting cornered by a monster. Having done all that but still ended up out of resource and cornered, might as well flee from the fight altogether using Farcaster. The items are brought by you to be used, so use it. Every consumable items in Monster Hunter can be crafted, so don't ever be afraid to run out of resources. I always mention timing this, timing that, because it is that important. One of my ways of determining when I should use something is by paying attention to the HUD, HUD, whatever you call it. The minimap, the notification on the right side of the screen, tiny logos above the health bar, stamina bar, your teammate's health bar, whatever the HUD is showing you, pay attention to that. But well, it's actually impossible to look at everything at once. For example, I only read the notification when it is popping up. When there's nothing, I won't bother looking to that side of the screen. The most frequent thing I do check are the screen around my health bar and my teammate's health bar to help me decide when I should use Dust of Life and shit. The minimap can be used to look for any environmental trap or endemic life. You can also see if there's any available slinger around the area, and most importantly, to see the monster's condition. But you can actually just see these things in the monster's behavior. So yeah, what's clear is that paying attention to the HUD is important. The next one is an obvious one, because if you have never done this move before, what in the gag's name have you been doing all this time? Alright, so I always do the panic dive move, or Superman dive some might call it, to ensure my safety while avoiding monsters' attacks. It can be executed when you are panic running, then you press the roll button to panic dive. Panic running only happens when you are running away to a direction other than the monsters. Same goes when you try to panic dive. You will have full immunity by executing this move, until after you rise up again. Unless you got hit by some one-hit KO move like Fatalise's Flame and Savijiva's ultimate attack, and continuous damage like Alatrion's Eschathon Judgment and Lunastra's Nova that continuously burn through your health. This panic dive move is basic knowledge for Monster Hunter. Sheath your weapon, run away from the monster, then press X or whatever your roll button is. Wallahi, you'll be safe, unless it's the attacks I've mentioned earlier. Now, if you are instead got hit by the monster's attack, to the point that your hunter is lying down on the ground, do not immediately wake up. So long as you are lying down, you have immunity to damage. Unless the reason you lie down is because of a pinned down attack. That's a different story. With staying grounded, not waking up immediately, you can avoid any combo attacks done by the monsters. And you can also read the monster's move and learn its moveset. Or maybe you can see the wind up before some of the attacks while you are lying down on the ground. Then try to memorize it. The point is, you're avoiding getting picked up by the Grim Reaper and receiving tons of information at the same time by lying down in the ground as long as you can. It is also very easy to execute. You basically only have to do nothing. Do not touch any button, just hold back your finger for a while and you won't wake up. But if you do not see any combo coming, or just see the opportunity to immediately wake up, wake up! You don't have to keep lying down for every attack that hits you. If the monster does not continue attacking you, just wake up. Me personally, if this is the first time I fought the monster, I will be lying on the ground most of the time I got attacked by the monster, while also trying to learn how the monster moves. so the next time around I can decide when to immediately wake up and when to let my hunter lay on the ground. So yeah, there's some of the things I did in order to increase my chances of survival in a hunt. Hope it can help you get better chances of surviving also. And I believe the things I shared will still be valid and relatable even later in Monster Hunter Wilds. Maybe some of you have the same thoughts with me and already did some of the things I've mentioned. Well, each player has each and their own way of hunting anyway. Still, I want to recommend you do these because this might help you survive and even ease your hunts. Bringing Farcaster is one. Also the Charms and Talons, since it increases your stats directly. The Lifepowder and Dust of Life for multiplayer. And also don't be stingy to use your items. Pay attention to the HUD. And finally, do not immediately wake up after getting hit. Try it out, it might suit your style of hunt. Or if you have your own unique way, comment down below. Maybe I could try it sometimes. Consider subscribing also. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. And as always, remember to stay away from poaching and hunt within regulations. Peace.